today I've been testing out what's quite possibly the most powerful iron I've ever used, and it's the new Ping i525. Now this is the replacement to Ping's i500. It's the new player's distance iron, and yeah, in this video I'm just going to let you know everything about this design, the technology, how it performs for me at the golf course, show you the numbers, and just let you know why this thing is such an absolute beast. It is a powerhouse of an iron, and yeah, I'll just give you all the details on this new design. First off though, before I run into all that, if you're new to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button below, give this video a thumbs up, and any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. First off, allow me to run you through the technology within this club head. And it's Ping's new player's distance iron, so it's kind of in the name. It's designed to offer, the look, the feel of a player's iron, but crucially give you more distance, but also more performance, greater forgiveness. Just make these things perform more like a game improvement iron whilst giving you the look and feel that something a better player would want to put in the bag. But how have Ping been able to achieve that? Well, it's a hollow body construction, as is the norm within this category. And Ping say they've made some key improvements with this over their i500. We have a miraging steel face, which they say is going to give you ballistic ball speed, and that's married up with a 17.4 stainless steel body. So that forged face, it's just allowed to flex at impact because it is a hollow body design, and that is really the driving factor behind the ball speed on offer with these irons. Now shifting focus onto the forgiveness side of things, and we have tungsten toe and shaft tip weights that just drive the weight of this golf club to extreme parameters. Try and make it more user friendly, more forgiving, but also make it better at retaining ball speed across the entire face. And yeah, as I say, try and make this thing perform more like a game improvement iron. Make it more user friendly, give you ball speed, but also give you forgiveness and consistency in that ball speed. Now we also have micro match grooves. You can see we've got tons of them on the face here, and Ping say that just allows them to add 4 grooves onto the faces to try and reduce flyers, those unwanted ones where you just come out with no spin and you sail over the back of the green. And we also have Ping's Hydro Pearl 2.0 finish, which just gives this thing its classy look. It is a very smart looking design. And finally, we need to touch on the fact that Ping have decided to incorporate EVA polymer within the head of each design. So a targeted amount within each head is designed to give a slightly softer feel. Now the i500 was a brilliant iron, offered tons of distance, great all-round performance, but I think if there was one drawback compared with other players' distance irons, was that the sound and feel wasn't quite there. It was maybe a wee bit loud, a wee bit clicky down at impact, and Ping say they resolved that issue with this new technology, adding that EVA polymer, just trying to give you that softer feel that you would expect, more of like a one-piece forging or a proper, better player's iron. So that's the technology side of things, but what does it all mean? How does it perform out in the golf course? Well, there's only one way to find out. So player's distance iron, it's in the name. Distance is a crucial factor with these irons, and having taken them out in the golf course, I have to say, they've got them in spades. These things are so powerful. I've got about 190 to the pin. It's just over the brow of the hill. I can just make out the top of the flag. And yeah, usually I'd probably be looking at, a nice 5 iron to get to that pin with my current irons. But here I've got the 7 iron out and I've got no problem whatsoever. I'm going to cover that distance with these things. I just know it because the distance on offer, the fact that miraging steel face, that forged face is allowed to flex, you're just going to see high launch and tons of distance. And yeah, it's made it no bother at all. They just have so much power, these irons. Now, an important aspect with any player's distance iron is of course the looks. It has to look the part. And I think Ping have done a very good job with this i525. It builds upon the i500 it's replacing. Just a few subtle changes. I think it is, it's just a touch more compact in terms of the blade length, or that's what I'm seeing anyway. And yeah, it does look smart. It's probably just maybe a touch on the larger side for some other irons in this category, but it does have a broad range of appeal. Better players, you'll get on really well with this, but crucially, if you're someone who's, playing maybe off high teens, you'll also be able to look at this and be inspired with some confidence, because it does have a bit of meat behind the bone. So looks is one thing, But crucially, where they say they've improved this time around, Ping, is in the sound and feel. And they just have. That was probably one thing with the i500s, they sounded a bit loud, a bit clicky, down at impact, performance-wise, fantastic, but really didn't have the feel to match the likes of a T200, P798. They couldn't quite get that soft, pleasing, better player feel. But now by adding that EVA within the heads, it just softens the blow and makes it feel that little bit nicer, more responsive. So yeah, looks and feel wise, it's doing what a player's distance irons should be doing. So I've touched on distance and power, but what about another all-important aspect of iron performance? Forgiveness. Well, thankfully the inclusion of the tungsten weighting, the fact that we do have a hollow body design, means that this iron's got a good level of give. I mean, it will perform, almost to the level of a game improvement iron in terms of forgiveness. So maybe I can highlight this here. I'll just not strike this one well, which is very easy for me to do. There you go. Bit on the thin side, but it's retained a decent level of launch, a decent level of speed. With something more like a blade, my hands would be sore for days after a strike like that. But thankfully, i525, it's got a bit of give to it. It does have some forgiveness, just to help you when you don't quite catch right, retain ball speed, give you good launch, and just make these things a little bit more user friendly. So I've talked about distance, I've talked about forgiveness, I've talked about the looks, but what about control? That's a crucial factor with any player's distance iron. After all, it's in the name, players, better players want control, especially 9-iron in my hand. I've got around about 145 to that pin, so with this iron, I'm probably gonna have to take a wee bit off this. Is that gonna allow me the control? Is it gonna give me the ball flight that's still gonna, check up nice and close to the pin? Well, thankfully with i525, the construction, the high launch it offers, means that I am seeing that. So I'm just going to grip down a touch and just try and, hit a wee punchy one in there. See if this thing allows me to do that. Wee punchy, touch a draw, and that's right on the flag. Oh, absolute money. And I think that's, it's what you need from an iron in this category, something that's going to be controllable. So yeah, I can take a few yards off that, I can hit a wee punchy draw, and it ends up stone dead. I'll now run you through the numbers I got whilst testing the i525 on Trackman using Pro V1 golf balls. And I've said it before in this video, power, distance, speed, that's what was standing out for me. And yeah, the numbers back that up. Look at that ball speed, 124.8, almost 125 miles an hour ball speed with a 7-iron. For me, that's absolutely phenomenal. Look at that carry distance over the 180 mark. The spin, probably a touch on the low side from what I'm used to seeing with a 7-iron. But crucially, look at the launch, look at the peak height, and look at the descent angle. This thing is launching so high into the sky. It's what I've seen out in the golf course, just absolutely, ballistic, as Ping would say, up in the air with lots of speed and then coming down with some snow on it. So although the fact that we don't have a great deal of spin, it's still maintaining control thanks to the launch, thanks to that peak height. So yeah, an absolutely brilliant, powerful iron that will give you tons of distance, but crucially, it's in the name, players distance iron. It has to cater for players as well, and it's doing that through its land angles, through its height, through its launch, giving you control you need to go and attack pins. So for some final thoughts on the i525, well, I said at the beginning of this video, it's long, it's powerful, and yeah, that's what's standing out. For something in the players distance iron category, I think it's one of the longest out there. It will happily go up against the likes of, the Callaway Apex, the TaylorMade P790, the Cobra Forge Tech, the Titleist T200. I think this will give each of them a really good run for their money when it comes to distance. And yeah, looking forward to putting this up against the likes of those irons, because I think this might just win the day when it comes to power and speed. Other thoughts, it's a smart looking design. It's a player's distance iron, and I think it will cater for a lot of golfers in terms of the overall appeal, the shaping. just personally, I think it's probably a wee touch on the large side compared to some of those other options I've just mentioned. But for some of you that might be great. It might be the fact that, you know, it looks a wee bit more forgiving down at address, a little bit more user-friendly, so it might inspire you with a bit more confidence. But the overall design looks really smart. And yeah, I just think there's some good improvements over the i500. The fact that it feels a bit softer, a bit more responsive, just means that it does sit squarely in that player's distance iron category. It'll be a great fit for so many of you watching this. If you go and test it for yourself, go and get fitted. Yeah, you know, anything from single figure players, low single figure players, all the way up to sort of high teens, I think you'll get a lot of performance out of this iron. Because yeah, all round performance, fantastic, great speed, looks the part. What's not to love? Now, if you have any questions about the i525, just leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.